Okay, folks, thank you for coming out tonight. As you know, this is our third year of our neighborhood watch meetings, and this program has been very successful in part because of the community being involved with it. The city and the sheriff's department, we can't do it ourselves, and so we do want to engage the community, and we always get a good turnout at all these meetings, and so because of your part is why this program is successful. Also, this program is made possible because we do have the support of our city council members. Tonight we do have with us Mayor Blue and Mayor Pro Tem Tom Chavez, so they make this program available to the residents, and so we do appreciate their support. We're going to start tonight. We'll have a couple of presentations. The city's going to present a few slides. We're going to start tonight first with some information on voter outreach, and I'll introduce our city clerk, Peggy Cole.
Regarding voter information, and you've also got a magnet and a brochure regarding roads and boulevards. But mainly tonight, I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that we're going to be having a general municipal election next March, on March 3rd. And the importance of our general municipal election is so that we can continue to get the support of the council for programs such as Neighborhood Watch or Citizens Academy, things to bring information to our residents and our businesses and our homeowners. So just to brief very quickly, I just want to bring attention to the voter information pamphlet.
I don't think so.
I'll try to speak up. So our next election is March 3rd, 2015. In the pamphlet, it had some essential information regarding registration, how to vote, if you need to vote late. So some of the main points I wanted to bring out is the fact that if you haven't registered to vote, please make sure you do that so that you can be registered in time to vote for the next election. Also, if you have already registered, it's very important to make sure that your registration is kept up to date, such as your address and your signature. I know for some folks, they figure, you know, I register, I vote every election, I don't really need to follow up or keep up with my registration. Keep in mind that, I don't know about you, but for me, I sign all day long and my signature could be signed 6 different ways. So it's important for you to update your signature card so that when it comes time for you to cast your ballot, and we do check your signature, that it matches your signature card. If for some reason your signature doesn't match your card, your vote may or may not be counted. So if you do take the time to vote, you want to make sure that your vote is counted. Another important thing I'd like to remind everyone is that besides going to the polling location, you do have the option of voting by mail. So for those who are, you know, not able to take off work to go to vote, or you have, let's say something come up when you're at home, you have the option to request to vote by mail, either as a permanent vote by mail voter, or you can request just for that one particular election to vote by mail. So it's very easy. You cast your vote at home, you put a stamp on it, and it gets mailed to the City Hall. So if you have any questions regarding registration, please come and see me at City Hall. I'm in the City Clerk's office. I'm also the city's official election officer. So if you have any questions, please come and see us. We are open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 6. Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is going to be about community preservation. Again, this is the third year, like I said, that we're doing these neighborhood watch meetings. In 2012, the presentation focused on the transition from code enforcement to community preservation. Change of name, different approach to how we handle the complaints of the community. We implemented a program called the Focus Area Systematic Enforcement with Courtesy Notice, and this is a proactive approach to doing some community preservation within the neighborhoods. In 2013, our presentation introduced CEPTED, the crime prevention through environmental design. That's fixing up your property so that through design, whether it's cutting down the bushes, adding more light, you can eliminate or try and prevent that crime from occurring. Explain the CEPTED methods, natural surveillance, territorial enforcement and maintenance, and how to deter criminal behavior. This year, we're going to be talking about broken windows theory. Who here has heard about the broken windows theory and knows what it is? Not too many people. Okay, so the broken windows theory is written in 1982 by James Wilson and George Kelly. It proposed a theory which outlined the nature of how crime spreads in the community, and it's used in New York City. And this is a building that you see that has some issues, broken windows, no doors. It's attracting vagrants, kids running through there. It's an attractive nuisance. And so it's going to condone behavior that's not going to be well received in the community. You have community preservation that fixes broken windows, overgrown vegetation, abandoned cars, unsecured and abandoned properties. And we also have a program called vacant property registration. So back when a lot of these properties were going through foreclosure, not so much affecting Temple City, we had properties that were vacant, and we had an ordinance that requires that the homeowners or the banks register that property so that we're aware that there's a vacant property and we can monitor it to make sure that they are being maintained. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the city doesn't do it alone. The Sheriff's Department can't do it alone. We need your help. You can help us by calling us, giving a phone call to either the City Hall line, calling our code enforcement hotline, sending us an email, whether it's to one of our individual officers, calling or sending an email to our code enforcement email address, in person. Again, the city is 3.85 square miles. We have 4 community preservation officers currently. We cannot cover the entire city. We cannot be everywhere and see everything. And so we want to make sure that we have the assistance of the community. We have, in that 3.85 square miles, 12,000 residences. And so if you do the math, we have 4 code enforcement or community preservation officers, 12,000 households. That's 3,000 households per officer to inspect, to watch, to try and make sure that the properties are being maintained. That doesn't include the commercial properties and the industrial properties, so all these stores, restaurants, and the manufacturing areas. Broken windows theory again talks about how if you have something that is negligent and it's not being maintained, how it tends to breed itself. Graffiti is a perfect example. Graffiti, you have one tag up on a wall, someone comes up, a rival gang member, a rival tagging crew sees it, what are they going to do? They're not going to just paint over it and write their own, they're going to cross it out and write their tag up. The next crew comes back, sees that their tag was crossed out, they'll cross out the other one, and it continues on a cycle. And so you can see that here, where this person wrote their tag up, and this one came by and crossed it out. This one, the 18th Street was written up, and then the MSB came out and crossed it out. And so it's a cycle that continues. And if you let this continue without being covered up, it'll take up the whole wall, and it'll continue as much as there's space. Property maintenance. Who here would want to live next to something that looks like this? Not too attractive. It may be bringing your property values down because if you're trying to sell your house next door to that, your prospective buyers coming by taking a look at that aren't going to be too pleasing to the eye, and they're not going to want to live next door to something that they think is going to be neglected. Through community preservation, this is what we try and abate and bring to a status that's going to be something that you'll be proud to live next door to. This, again, graffiti on vehicles. It's not only on buildings. We need to know about these so that we can work to address them, working with either the property owner, the vehicle owner, or whatever we need to do to address it. This isn't pleasing. If you see this, you're going to think, well, these people don't care, the city doesn't care, it's an eyesore, so we want to make sure that we eliminate this blight. Who knows where this property is located at? The Alpha Beta site. Temple City and Woodruff. Who knew that there was a basement below that whole concrete pad? It was used for the market, and so there was underground basement that was used there. Through a complaint, we discovered that this basement was unsecured. You have an unsecured basement. Well, again, what happens? You have kids that find out about it. What's going to happen? They're going to want to go there. You have transients, you have drug users, anybody that's going to be up to no good, find this place to be a perfect place to go and hang out, to stay the night, because it's out of sight. The Sheriff's Department's not going to see it, the city's not going to see it, the residents are going to see them, so they can do their own thing. They can throw a party down there and no one would know. And so we want to try and eliminate that. This is, again, a perfect example, not only graffiti as the broken windows theory, this is an alley where someone dumped a couch. You think one couch, not too big, not an issue, pick it up, throw away. But if that one couch is left there and not picked up by the city, the trash company, whoever's responsible for that, it'll tend to grow, and this one couch turns into this. Someone sees one couch dumped there, they say, oh, I have a couch too that I want to dump, and go dump theirs. During the holiday season, I have a Christmas tree I want to get rid of. Oh, let's dump it here. I just did some remodeling to my house. I got rid of a skylight. Let's throw that over there so we don't have to call our trash disposal company and pay additional fees to get rid of those large items. And so through assistance with the community, and we're going to keep stressing that you can help us bring these to our attention and we can address them and abate them. Preventing crime involves everybody. It maintains high property values. It maintains a high quality of life. Makes Temple City and the neighborhoods a desired area, a safer community. As you know, last year we were designated the 5th safest city in California. We have safe schools that have a high public education need, and people really want to come into the community because of those reasons, and clean streets. Basically, what you want to do is fix the small things before they become big things. And so what we can do to prevent a larger problem later is by addressing those smaller problems now. And again, this, what happened to this is that basement for the Alpha Beta site. Looks like a small solution, but through making sure that the property owner properly gates it and secures it, and as simple as it is putting a screen over that basement access now, there is no more access, and it eliminates that problem. This house that, again, that no one wants to live next to, that if you're selling your house, looks like it's gonna be a problem. This is in the backyard that it's burned. It's an attractive nuisance to children. It's a hazard. Neighborhood kids that know about this can go in the backyard because the gates were unsecured. You have part of the garage door that's open. And so again, it's not a good place for kids. It's not safe for the neighborhood. Now it looks like this because of the efforts of community preservation and making sure that the properties are well maintained and that we maintain that high quality of life in Temple City. Again, how do you notify the city of these issues? You can do it by phone, email, in person. City Hall is open Monday through Friday from 7:30 till 6. You can call the regular City Hall phone number. We have our community preservation hotline, and we also have an email address, and all this information is available on the city's website. And so that'll conclude our community preservation presentation. If there's any questions, we can answer some of them now. If not, we would like to hold them till the end so that we can get through these presentations and be able to have everybody get the presentations if anybody needs to leave early. And we'll stay as long as we need to if anybody has questions.
Hey, just so everybody knows, when Brian's talking about quality of life issues, we get involved as well. So if you call the city and maybe you don't get the answer you're looking for, or maybe it's a quality of life issue that we can get involved with as well, just get a hold of me. You should have the packets that we handed out to you. My contact information is on those packets. Rick Adams. It's got my email address and my phone number. Just recently, within the last couple of weeks, the property Brian showed you was actually 4815 Persimmon. That was the alley with all the furniture and everything, showing how over time, things can build up. On the other side of that building, on Persimmon, we got a house where we got a lot of problems over the last several months, where we've got a guy working on cars out of his driveway, and it worked out well. We were able to go there with some auto theft detectives because we were doing an operation that night to make sure they weren't working on any stolen cars. And we were actually able to cite them because they were working on cars in a residential area. You're not allowed to do that. So it was huge. They got a $1,000 fine for one of the tickets they got. We issued about 4 or 5 parking citations for cars that were illegally parked in the front yard. So I just want you to be aware that the city's talking about it, but these are issues that are important to us. And my partners and I, along with our sergeant, and I'll introduce us all later, those are the types of things, as well as many of the things that we do to help you out. So if you've got any issues like that, feel free to email Brian. His contact information is there, and you can also CC it to me as well. Okay? Thanks.
Yeah, it's something that, again, we work closely with, as I mentioned earlier. It's a partnership between the city, the sheriff's department, and the community. So none of us can do it alone. We all have to work together to accomplish maintaining that quality of life that we have in Temple City. In the next presentation, we're going to talk about emergency preparedness. Who here is prepared for an emergency? 2, 3 hands. I'd like to see a little bit more. Emergency preparedness is ensuring that an organization or person has complied with preventative measures to contain the effects of a disaster situation. That's a very technical term. It's basically being prepared for any situation, whether it's the windstorm that we had in 2011, it can be the earthquake that's going to come on the San Andreas Fault, it can be flooding because of the El Nino season that they're saying is going to be coming up. So we want to make sure that we as a city and you as a resident, as civilians, are prepared and we're working together. The city's prepared in various ways. One is we constructed a new emergency operations center. The emergency operations center is basically our command post, our control center in a disaster. That's where we'll have the city council, our city management team, the sheriff's department will be there, and other organizations such as the Red Cross, maybe Edison, maybe the gas company, that all need to get in one room and coordinate resources and be able to respond to that disaster. We also, with the windstorm, had the issue that our generator that we had failed. And so during the windstorm, we didn't have a backup generator. And so one of the things that we did is we purchased a new generator to make sure that our operations center and our city hall can continue to operate so that we can serve the community and be that source of information and be that focal point when you need help. We have a California state and a federal approved emergency operations plan. We also have a state approved multi-hazard mitigation plan. This facility here is a approved emergency shelter by the American Red Cross. And so if we do have a disaster where we need to evacuate and shelter the residents, this has been assessed and is a approved shelter, but that doesn't mean that you're automatically going to come here. We need to do assessments to make sure that this facility can withstand, if there was an earthquake, that it's still structurally sound to use as a shelter. So just because you know about it doesn't mean that everybody's going to self-evacuate to this location. That's not what we want. And also we have ongoing training for management staff and also our frontline staff. One of the things that we want to make sure that when people are preparing, that you do put some effort into it. This is a kind of a funny video to get you thinking about preparedness. I don't know how well you're here. It's a little, all we have are these small speakers, so.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's going to do what? I'll pack the dead batteries. Wait.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'm trying to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
Ryan, I hope you're not saying anything important.
I can figure to do this.
Yeah. Basically, I'll summarize it. They're putting together a list and they're asking who's going to prepare for a disaster. One of the comments they make is, well, I'll forget to pack the dead batteries. I'll forget to pack the phones that aren't charged and stuff like that. And so basically they're putting a plan together, but they're winging it. And so one of the things that we don't want the community to do is just in the time of disaster, start winging it and start making things up as you go. Don't make that plan as it's going on. You want to have a plan developed before you need it. And so what we're going to talk about is preparing for disaster. We're going to cover developing a disaster plan, disaster supply kits, hazard mitigation, and training. This presentation is going to be real quick and real short. The handout that was given to you that looks like this, that has CERT on the front, has a lot of information in here. It'll cover how to create a plan. It tells you what should be included in that plan. It tells you about the disaster kits and what should be in the kits. It tells you how to turn off your gas meter, how to turn off the water main. So it has a lot of information in there that is good. And the more information that we can give you, the better. Also, for the kids in there, if they want homework, they can do some of the planning and draw maps and different stuff that we're going to cover right now. Disaster plan. What it should include is where will you meet your family members? If you have a plan or everybody's going to be running out of the house, do you have a location where everybody's going to meet? If you're out of town or if you're at the mall, do you have a location identified where the family's going to go? Do you have an escape plan? Do you know how to get out of your house? Do you know how to get out of the hotel? Do you know how to get out of this room? If we had a disaster here, what exits was everybody going to primarily go to? This one, that one, that one. But I know if I go out this door and I go out that door and out, I'm in the park. Well, all of the group is going to be trying to funnel out of that one door to try to get out in the park. So be aware of your surroundings. What route and what alternate routes will you use to evacuate your neighborhood? Just because you have a route identified doesn't mean it's going to be available. You may have a tree that falls down. You may have a sinkhole that opens up in the street. So even though you identify a route, you want to have backups and have backups for those backups. Do you have transportation? If you have transportation, do you have a backup for transportation or alternate transportation?
Do you have an auxiliary cord?
No.
It's not going to work without one.
We'll figure it out. I don't have one.
But,
And then just because you have a plan doesn't mean that just doing the plan and putting it aside is going to be fine and you're done. You want to make sure you're practicing your plan. Just like you have the pro athletes, you have the sheriff's department, the city. When we develop a plan or we develop a training program, we continuously train and exercise that program to make sure that it's second nature, that it comes without thinking. Here's an example of an escape plan. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be done by an architect. This is a little bit more. It has a primary exit and alternate exit identified. Identifies the meeting places and shows coming out of a door, or a secondary is going out a window if need be, if the door's blocked. Identifies the smoke alarms, and so that information is in the packet. Disaster supply kits. You want to remember the rules of 3. You want to have 3 kits, one for home, one for car, one for work. Who here can predict when a disaster is going to happen? Nobody, right? So you want to make sure you're prepared for whenever it happens. If it happens at home, you have your kit. If you're at work and you can't get to home, you have your kit. If you're in your car and you're at the market and you're not at home or work, you have a basic kit that's going to get you through what you need at that immediate time and get you those other resources that you need at a later time. You want to have 3 days of supplies per person. And then you want to have 3 categories of items. You want to have water, food, and utility items. Food and water, you want to have foods that are non-perishable, that aren't going to spoil, that aren't going to get damaged if you put them in a bag or keep it in a car. So something like canned foods is good. You want to have MREs, which are meals ready to eat. If you have infants or elderly family members, you want to have food that are made specifically for those particular populations and whatever those needs are. If you have someone that's diabetic, you want to make sure you have whatever is going to be needed to sustain that person. Water. I know it says it here, but how much water does one person need? 1 gallon per person per day. And that sounds like a lot. Right now, you're probably not drinking a gallon of water, but that's for your food preparation, and that's also for your drinking and not so much hygiene. You can use non-potable water for hygiene. So that's just basically your drinking and food preparation. Utility items. It's a list of things. What goes in your kit? There's no right or wrong answer. The kit is whatever you feel is going to be important to put in there that's going to be needed for you. Me, I don't wear glasses, so I'm not going to have glasses in there. I don't wear contacts. But someone that does wear glasses or contacts, they want to make sure that they have a backup pair of glasses in that kit so that if your glasses get damaged, you could still see with, even if it's an older prescription, it's still going to be better than walking around with not having that backup set of glasses. You want to have tools, cash. If everybody's dependent on their ATM card, their debit card, their credit cards, if the power goes out, those ATM machines aren't going to work. The gas stations aren't going to work. The cash registers aren't going to work. So you want to make sure you have cash on hand. Make sure you have small denominations too. If all you have is that $100 bill and you want that bottle of water that's on the shelf and they don't have change, guess how much that bottle of water is going to cost you? $100. And so you want to make sure you have things in there. And one of the other things is having a whistle. That's something that I would recommend that you have in your kit, because you talking or yelling, you can only talk and yell so much. It takes less effort to blow a whistle, and the whistle is actually louder than you trying to yell for help. Hazard mitigation, this is an activity that prevents the emergency or reduces the effect of a hazard. Everybody in their day-to-day lives does hazard mitigation, whether you know it or not. You take an action to prevent an accident from happening. So if you're driving and you do a defensive driving maneuver, or you're looking at your tires and they look bald and you're putting new tires on your vehicle, that's reducing and mitigating that hazard. In the homes, you have some non-structural hazard mitigation. And that means some things that you can't control. The foundation of the house, the rafters, all the structural part of the house, you can't do too much. It's going to be expensive if you have to do some retrofitting. But what you can do is in your bedroom, in your living room, in your study room, if you have heavy furniture, bookshelves, anchor those to the wall. If you have breakable objects and heavy objects, put them on the lower shelves so that they're not going to fall over from a top shelf and injure someone or possibly kill someone. You want to secure appliances and office equipment. Locate and label gas, electricity, and water shutoffs. Secure water heaters and have flexible lines installed. And also child-proof cabinet doors. And that's not to keep the kids out. That's to keep your glassware, your chinaware, your dishware, everything inside the cabinet. So if there's an earthquake and it's shaking, that latch is going to catch on that door and it's not going to fall out. Now when you open it, you want to be careful. This is an example of hazard mitigation. This is strapping the water heater so that during an earthquake, it's not going to be bouncing around and that gas line is not going to rupture. And the gas line that is going to the unit is going to have some mitigation as well and have some flexibility to it so that if it does move a little bit, it's not going to shear off. Going through all this, again, there's preparation that we need to do. You have your kids, you have your plans, you have your to-do list that you want to get done. Now, how does that affect us? In Southern California, our threat is going to be an earthquake. And so in your handout, there's, again, a more detailed 7 steps to earthquake safety. And one of the things that you want to remember during an earthquake is you want to drop, cover, and hold on. You want to protect your head and neck and make sure that that is under a table. So if your entire body cannot fit, at least get your shoulders and your head and neck under that table. Training. On the front cover is the CERT curriculum. It's a 20-hour class that teaches residents about emergency preparedness, hazards, and basic response skills. It's not going to make you this search and rescue expert, but it's going to teach you more so that when a disaster happens, you can rely on yourself and be self-sustaining and take care of yourself, your family, your friends, and maybe even your neighbors. Again, it's 20 hours of classroom instruction and hands-on instruction, and it's taught by the city, the Sheriff's Department teaches it, and the Fire Department also teaches it. Temple City has a program that once you graduate from a CERT class, you can apply to become a part of the city's advanced CERT team. And that's going to be a volunteer team of volunteers that'll be responding to disasters, assisting city staff in handling those disasters. Here's some pictures of some of our prior CERT graduates. You'll learn how to use the fire extinguisher. Who here has never used a fire extinguisher? Everybody's used one? Who has not? And can you tell me, if you have a fire in your kitchen, it's starting to get big, you have that fire extinguisher over there in the pantry, you get it, reading it, pulling the pin, looking at it, so okay, what's the next step as that fire is growing? That's probably not the best time to learn how to use it and read the instructions. You want to try and learn beforehand so that when something does happen, you know, and you can kind of familiarize yourself with the procedures on doing that. CERT teaches you that. Again, we have the fire. It teaches you what we call triage. And so all the curriculum is on the front of that handout. We do have a class coming up. We have a class that we're teaching next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we do have a few seats available still. And so if anybody is interested, I do have some registration forms, and you can talk to me after the class if you want to know more information about the CERT program. Resources, these websites that are on the screen or on the wall are places that I go as an emergency manager to get everything that I'm presenting today, that I'm putting into the packets. You have ready.gov. Red Cross is a good source of information. OES is a state emergency operations website. You have ESP Focus. That's a group of handouts that talk about specific disasters and needs. FEMA is the federal government. Shakeout.org and Earthquake Country Alliance are obviously earthquake-related websites. And so if you Google anything, it'll come up. So these are good resources if you want to continue to learn about emergency preparedness. One of the last things that I want to talk about is NIXO. NIXO is a public safety messaging platform. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not. It's a way that the city, the police department, the sheriff's department can push out information to subscribers to our program and get that information out in a quick manner. It's free. The only thing that you would have to pay for is your standard text messaging rates. And so Temple City, we have a NIXO group dedicated to Neighborhood Watch. And so if there's anything going on that's pertaining to Neighborhood Watch or crime alerts that we need to get out, we do have that. You can text TC Crime Watch to 888-777 and it'll automatically sign you up. Likewise, if you want general information, you can text the city zip code 91780 to that number as well, and you'll sign up to receive alerts on the general city's website or on the city's NIXO system. This is not limited to Temple City. It is something that you can sign up for other locations. And so if you have family that lives in San Bernardino, you can sign up for those there. If you have any information regarding CERT or emergency preparedness, give us a call. My information is, again, as Rick said, is on the cover of one of the flyers. And also, it's up here on the second flyer as well. My name's Brian, and I have another person that assists me with the CERT program. His name's Jonathan. And that's it.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, so just so everybody knows, before we get started, Lieutenant Stevens, we have some young martial artists, right? Artists? Karate guys and gals? Next door. Did you guys hear the noise when Brian was talking? Yeah. Okay, they're going to try to keep it quiet for us. If it becomes a problem, we're going to move everybody from the back forward, but we don't want to do that unless we have to. So I think we're going to be okay. All right? All right. Everybody happy? Yeah? All right. If you want more tacos, grab some more tacos. Lieutenant Mark Stevens is with our Cybercrimes unit, and he's going to talk to you for about 30 minutes about some of the things you need to be aware of. When you're done listening to him, you're probably going to want to get rid of your cell phones and your credit cards. So I'll gladly take all those for you and hold them. So, and right now we're just working on some speakers so that hopefully you'll be able to hear the video he's going to show.
Give me 1 minute.
Hey, while he's doing that, is Kirk back there, Robert? Okay, just so everybody knows, my partners are putting on a community academy, and we're starting it next week on Thursday. And I believe Rob will know more of the details. It's 5 weeks, every Thursday evening,
right,
except for one, or are they all Thursdays?
The only one, it starts on the 19th of June, that's the introduction, and then it's every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. at night for 5 weeks. But the last week, which is the jail tour at Twin Towers, might start about 5 to the custody facility. So again, it's from 6 to 8, starting the 19th of June to July 17th. Again, if you have anybody that has aspirations of careers in law enforcement, if you have any siblings or daughters or sons that want to contribute or attend this, go ahead. We have the applications later on after presentation. After we're going to have questions and answers for you guys. Open forum. Just ask us for the application, fill it out. And the only requirement is you have to be over 18. There is a background check because you are going to go to a custody facility and you're going to go to station for a station court. So again, I'll touch base on all that after. But again, just again, reiterate, the Community Academy, it just touches base on some of the tactics, some of the things that someone wants to career in law enforcement.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so it just gives you a little taste. Did you go over the different classes?
No, I can't.
So tell them about the classes.
The first one's going to be introduction. We're going to introduce our team, and then we're going to have Sergeant Strong, who's done the academy, the show, the academy on cable or satellite or DirecTV, what the applicants actually go with their recruit. She'll touch base on that, show you videos. Then we'll have a homicide lecture from detective or sergeant or lieutenant. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
this is Sergeant.
And then we're going to have Tom Yu, who does the Asian Task Force. He's going to come talk about Asian gangs, touch base with Hispanic gangs. Then we're going to have K9 Sergeant Cooks to come with the dog, show you what the dog does in terms of searching vehicles and what different less lethal weapons that we use. We're going to have a jail tour and then some other stuff along the city. So again, it's 5 weeks of a lot of information, a lot of tours, a lot of videos and stuff that I believe that if you have aspirations of your career, law enforcement is excellent.
Yeah, so if you're interested in that, just get a hold of Rob or Kirk at the end of the night. And I think they've got applications, and we've already got about 18 to 20 people signed up. So we've got room for about 10 more if you're interested.
Yeah, 25 max, because when the class, exceeds 25, it's real hard to kind of have that class with that volume, education and other activities. So 25 max, so we have probably like 10 spots.
Thanks, Rob. And then just so everybody knows, we kind of redid and reorganized the Neighborhood Watch program a few years back. And we actually have area leaders. And we have Lucy in the back of the room and Martin and Marty all here. 3 out of about maybe 15 to 20. Who else do we have? Oh, yeah, William. How are you? So anyhow, if you're interested in being involved, basically what they do is we meet once a month for 1 hour at the station, and we talk about the way the program's going, things we like, things we don't like, changes we want to make. And toward the end of the year, the area leaders decide on what topics we're going to do the next year. Okay? So if you're interested in doing something more than just attending the meeting once a year, just get a hold of Lucy or Martin tonight and they can tell you more about it. Anybody have any questions you ready, Martin? Still working? Anybody have any questions? Everybody happy? Lucy's got a question or a comment.
We try to sign everybody up, but in case we missed you, please make sure you come to see either myself or Martin, waving his hand over. Just sign up before you leave, okay?
The reason we're having you sign up is because if you're not getting weekly notices, we send out a crime blotter every week that tells you exactly what kind of crimes are going on within the city. So you'll get a notice, an email. I actually make it, my sergeant and I make the crime blotter. We send it off to Brian, and he'll send it off to you so you have an idea about what's going on within the city. Okay, and then we also send other information out that might help you as well. Maybe some trends, things that are going on that you don't know about. Martin.
People come to these meetings and they wonder what they as citizens can do as part of Neighborhood Watch. That's why you're given these handouts. The back of the handouts, there's phone numbers that you can call. You get the Connect magazine from the city. The back page of that has the phone numbers that you can contact. What are you going to contact on? The crimes that everybody is talking about here tonight, but you can also call in abandoned shopping carts, graffiti, potholes, code violations in your neighborhood. All those phone numbers are in either your handout tonight or at the back of Connect magazine. And that's what you can do to make Temple City a better place, because the police, the city, they need your help, your eyes, your telephone call to take action.
Okay, real quick before we continue on, I have evaluation forms. Again, as we mentioned, these classes are by input of the community, our area leaders, and so we want to know what we're doing that's good, what we're doing that's bad, and what you think we can do better, and what you might want to see in these classes. And so I'm going to walk around and pass these out. Also tonight when you turn them in, we'll give you a raffle ticket for some gift certificates to McDonald's. And so we'll pass these out and you turn them back in, and we'll get you guys done tonight.
Okay, real quick, before the presentation, when we start speaking, I know you guys have 1,000 questions in your head. You're going to want to raise your hand to get our attention. But again, let us go through the presentation, PowerPoint. Let us go through all the topics. And then at the end, we're gonna have open forum with question and answers, okay? So again, it's a lot of information the lieutenant's gonna have, and then a lot of information that we're gonna have and our PowerPoint. So again, let us get through because there might be a topic where your question is already answered while as we continue the PowerPoint. Okay?
Rick, I have one question before you start.
Yeah, Marty, go ahead.
Is that speaker going to stay there?
Is it in the way?
Well, then let's move it.
That's
We're
what
going
I'm
to need it
supposed to
now.
look at.
I think we're going to have enough volume.
Yeah, we're not going to need it? Okay. I'm thinking if I can get it at least over here, maybe.
Yeah, that's much better.
Is that better?
For me.
Can you folks see or is it in the way? It's in the way? Okay.
Can it be lowered any further? Or?
There we go.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Put it on the chair.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right, Lieutenant Mark Stevens from our Cybercrime Unit. He's got some great information for you.
It jumped on me. Look at that.
Are you being hacked?
The problem with technology is people. And I just proved that. We'll see if it works. Everybody can hear me, right?
Oh, yeah.
I very, very seldom anybody's asked me to speak up, so I guess that means I got a big mouth. In public speaking, they call that a good projecting public speaking voice. At my house, my wife calls it something else. We'll just leave it at that. My name's Mark Stevens. I'm a lieutenant with the Fraud and Cybercrime Bureau. We're part of Detective Division, so we're a county-wide resource. We do work everywhere in the county, from Lancaster to Malibu, from Carson all the way up to Santa Clarita Valley. So we're kind of everywhere. We're a resource to Temple City as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss some issues that are going on right now with cybercrime and technology. I've just recently kind of changed a little bit the pitch of this conversation, and I'll call it kind of a conversation. This is about technology, not just cybercrime. We can't, as a society, we can no longer look at technology as being computers and cyber. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. Technology is moving very, very quickly. Security's having a hard time keeping up with it. And we in law enforcement, due to funding and just the mere fact that it takes time to train people to be able to deal with these issues, are running way, way, way behind even the security. All right. So what we're trying to do with what I'm doing here, and we've got other personnel available to do these types of presentations, we're trying to bring the awareness level up in hopes that we're going to be able to prevent these things from happening. The best way to fight crime is to prevent crime. It's no different than a burglary. What I want you to think about, as I'm going through this, I want you to think about the technological advances that we're seeing, and I want you to relate that to your day-to-day lives, and as a result of that technology, how you may need to alter your life a little bit to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your businesses from becoming a victim of either cybercrime, identity theft, or even something worse. And I've got some examples here. The big problem, as I said, is technology, but the mere number of mobile devices that are on the street right now, the last estimate that I heard just last month was somewhere between 3.2 and 3.4 billion. That's a lot of cell phones, iPads, etc. that are out there on the street. Crooks are using them. They're using them to plan their crimes, they're using them to commit their crimes, and they're using them to dispose of the fruits of their crimes on the online auction sites and so forth. That sheer number is what's really kind of changed the ballgame. But remember what I said, I want you to think about technology. Has anybody heard of this company, Sluizel? This is phenomenal. You download the app to your phone, take 2 pictures of your house key, upload those pictures with your credit card number, and for $5, in about 3 to 5 days, you'll receive a new house key in the mail. Don't have to drive to the hardware store. I did some research, consumer stuff on it. Hey, these keys work better than the one I took a picture of. Now, I'm making an assumption here, but this is my assumption. You take the picture, the computer identifies the key blank, it also identifies the pin set, and then cuts a remanufactured factory key, as opposed to a copy of a copy of a copy that was made at a hardware store. It's phenomenal. Does anybody see a problem with this? I see a problem with it. I see a hand go up, all right? Because if you think about this technology in the hands of the wrong person, burglary, right? Do you valet park your car and leave your registration with your address in the glove box? And your house key on your key ring when you hand the key ring to the valet. I hope not. 3 photographs. I know where you live. I've got your house key. See where I'm going with this. This is an example of technology that's great technology, but it creates new problems for our society, and we've got to start paying attention to these new technological advances that are taking place. The types of crimes that our unit gets involved with, and we house the Southern California High-Tech Task Force. It's a partially state-funded, multi-jurisdictional task force on cybercrime, identity theft, and related crimes. We have federal, state, and local agencies and personnel that are assigned to it, so we don't have as many jurisdictional issues and so forth. As you can imagine, cybercrime has a lot of those. And a lot of this stuff starts outside the country. We deal with the hacking and the identity theft. We also deal with corporate espionage and intellectual property theft. And you know, when we think about intellectual property theft, we think about what? Hollywood, the music industry. But what about aerospace? Major aerospace company spends 3-4 years, millions of dollars on research and development to come up with a new prototype, only to have it stolen and sold to a country that's sold to a business or a corporation outside the country. How does that affect the United States economy? We take a hit, because that could be billions of dollars worth of sales that we would be exporting goods and receiving funds for, and now all that money's been diverted to a company in a different country. And there's very little recourse for it. So it's a problem, not just locally, but it's a federal problem, it's also an international problem. Medical identity theft, we need to be aware of the fact that all of our medical records are digitized. It's great because if you get involved in a traffic accident while you're on the East Coast visiting a relative, at the speed of light, your entire your entire medical file can be transferred to the East Coast. So your doctors have got a deal. But what happens if there's an error? What happens if somebody uses your identity to get a surgery and they tell the doctor about their allergies, the medications that they're taking, and now your medical chart's fouled? Okay, one of the things I want to do today is I'm going to give you some tools and rules. In the case of medical identity theft, here's the rule. Every 5-6 months, call your insurance company and have them send you over a list of claims, regardless of the address that the paperwork was sent to. Just a list of claims and go through them. If it says that you were treated in a hospital in Las Vegas and you haven't been to Las Vegas this year, there's probably a problem with your medical chart that needs to be addressed. Okay? It's simple. It doesn't have to be difficult to deal with the problems, but the problems are huge, and most of the solutions are pretty simple. Cyber ransom, we're seeing more of this. CryptoLock or malware, what this is, a hacker gets malware on the computer. That malware identifies critical files like my documents, tax, anything with the word tax on it, 1099, you know, the tax form, drags it into a file and then encrypts it. Your computer still works, but you can't get to those files. A little pop-up screen will come up and it'll say something along the lines of, don't call the police, wire $500 here via Western Union, or you're never going to see your files again. Now, if you don't call the police and you send the $500, what do you think happens? You get another pop-up menu that said, you didn't do that fast enough, we're going to fine you another $200. You're never going to get the files unlocked. They're not going to unlock the files. So just call the cops if that pops up. Get a report on file. The reality of the situation is these are difficult to investigate. They usually wind up in a dead end. It started in some third world country in a single wide trailer someplace, and we just can't get to them. So, tools and rules. Keep all of your files on a separate device. Loose media, flash drive, DVD, CD-ROM, portable hard drive, something along those lines, and don't keep any critical files on your computer. That way, if they do get in, there's nothing for them to drag into the file box in the first place, because it's not going to destroy your computer. All right, but now you can turn the computer off, wipe it, reload your software, and you've still got your files with you. Child and adult exploitation is kind of another lecture, but be aware that that's still a big problem, and there's a cyber nexus to almost every crime now, okay, because of the number of devices that are out there. Credit card skimmers, I'm sure most of you have heard about those before. Probably the number, in fact, we know that was the way that credit cards were being compromised in the United States. Okay? All a skimmer is either an electronic device that's inserted inside of a gas pump. In fact, I've got a couple of pictures here. But they can also be found in point-of-sale terminals that you swipe your card in at the grocery store. We find them in ATM machines. They're caps that they put on. This is what a gas pump skimmer looks like. That circuit board is about 1.5 inches by about 3/4 of an inch. It's got a red plug here and a pigtail there. This is what it looks like installed in a gas pump. That's the back of the credit card reader that you're looking at, that computer board. You unplug the wire from the board, plug the red plug in there, plug the wire into the pigtail. It's installed. 10 seconds. Bluetooth enabled, they don't have to take it out. They just download it when they do a drive-by on the gas station, okay? So that's not going to be found until the gas pump has been serviced. Now, many of you have seen the little stickers on the gas pumps now. That's why they're there. They're tamper-resistant stickers. I call them crime scene tapes. They've got a serial number on it. It says something like, if this is broken, tell the attendant. They're supposed to be monitoring this. Does anybody notice that more and more gas pumps seem to be broken now? They got the little red bags on them. That's the gas company, or the gasoline station finds a broken tag. They put the red bag on there until they can get their technician out. That's why you're seeing that. You're seeing that on there. But again, tools and rules. Do we need to buy gas? Yes. All right. Do most of us use credit cards? Yes. All right. Well, where do you buy your gasoline? Do you buy it from the gas pumps that are close to the station attendant, or on the outskirts? Close to the attendant, because we always find these devices on the outskirts. Okay? So you can avoid those gas pumps. You probably do yourself a world of good. Okay, but again, these things are also on the point of sale terminals, and there's even handheld. Anybody heard of the Square? Little white box, plug it into the top of your smartphone, open up your banking application, swipe a credit card, enter an amount, push send, automatically debits the card, and dumps that money into your account. They use them at trade shows, swap meets, that kind of thing. Those are handheld swipes, right? For about $100, I can buy the parts, I can modify that, make it into a tape recorder basically, push record, push play. If I'm the bad guy and I'm working at fast food, you give me your credit card to buy the food, I reach into my smock, push record, swipe your card, go over to drop it back into my smock, swipe the card at the register, give you your receipt and your food, and you're off and you're on your way out. I lean over, call my buddy over, he brings me $150 cash and anything with a mag strip. Hotel card key, old credit card, doesn't matter. Anything with a mag strip, I take that, I push play, swipe the card, hand it to them, and they're out the door with your credit card before you've left the driveway. It can happen that fast. Okay, so at the bottom you see I have ATM card versus credit card. The law says that an issuer of a credit card must replace the credit on your account if it gets compromised. Once you figure it out, hey wait, these charges aren't mine, you call it in, they have to do an investigation. But during the investigation, they have to put that credit back on your credit card so that you have access to that credit. Once the investigation's done, you know, it's really not going to affect you that much. Now, of course, if they find out that it was you, some of my friends and I will come knocking on your door about 7 o'clock in the morning, something along those lines, real loud. So, you know, the bottom line is don't try to scam them because they will figure it out. But here's the deal. That doesn't apply to ATM cards and Visa debit cards because they're not credit cards. It only applies to credit cards. So if I'm that guy in fast food, do you want me to get your credit card or your ATM card? Because if it's your ATM card, I'm taking your money, right? And they don't have to put it back until after they finish the investigation. So unless you got a really nice bank that loves you very much, I can't go 12 weeks with a zero account balance in my checking account. So tools and rules. Never, ever, ever hand your Visa debit card or your ATM card to anybody because it can happen that fast. Okay? Better it be a credit card than a debit card. Cybersecurity basics. Now I want you to think of your cyber network as a fence. Okay? Any fence is only as strong as the weakest link. All right, I stand before you today, right now, to tell you that in my cyber network, which is pretty big, okay, I'm the weakest link. Because if I don't update my antivirus software, if I don't update the program software that's on my computer when that annoying little box pops up in the lower right-hand corner, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. All right, I don't click through the box. If it says that I got to do Adobe, then I go to Adobe's website and I download the app that way. I don't trust anything on a computer anymore. All right, but I get paid to be paranoid, so. But the bottom line is, you got to make sure that you keep your entire network safe and secure, okay? Your home network needs to be just as secure as your work network. And keep this in mind, your smartphone is part of your network because your smartphone is not a phone, it's a computer. It's a computer with voice technology, video technology, photographic technology, and it can communicate with other computers on multiple platforms, 4G, 3G, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and an array of others, including peer-to-peer, which you're going to start hearing more. That's device talking to device and passing the signal from one device to the other. Apple started using it with this new tag thing for locating your keys and your purse and all that other kind of stuff. You can read about it. Unfortunately, I don't have time to tell you the whole story, but it's actually pretty fascinating technology. But it does pose some problems for us. Passwords, all right? You need to make sure you've got a good, secure password. And I'm going to come back to passwords in a few minutes. Loose media, okay? That's anything that holds digital data that's not attached to your computer network. Flash drives, SD cards from cameras, DVDs, CDs, portable hard drives. We call that loose media. All right, that's where you should be storing your critical files, on an encrypted flash drive or something that you keep someplace safe. But loose media is dangerous. The rule is, if you don't know where it came from, don't plug it in. One of the largest governmental hacks known was done just like that. Hackers loaded malware on the flash drives and threw them into the employee parking lot. Employees plugged them in, trying to find out, who the flash drive belonged to, uploaded the malware, immediately dials outside of millions of dollars worth of outside, front-end security right into the hacker's computer. All right, and it's a problem. So just be aware of that. If you find something, if your kids find something, make sure your kids know that if they find a CD at school that says my tunes or my whatever, don't put it in the computer because it could have malware on it along with the music, and you won't know when that happens. Telephone Wi-Fi, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But I told you I'd come back to passwords. Passwords, they need to be long and complex, at least 8 characters. The longer they are, the better. Random letters and numbers are much better than words, okay? But they need to have uppercase, lowercase letters along with numbers and special symbols. Now, if you need to use words, I got an example up here. My dog Spot should look like it does down at the bottom. Lowercase m, uppercase y, capital D, @ for O. You see where I'm going with this, no spaces. Hackers will they'll break your password by running an alphanumerical using an electronic dictionary. They set the computer up to do it. Once it's set up, they go to bed. Let the computer run all night to hack it in. So just be aware, but you need to have a different password for every account. Now, I got 43, 45, something like that, online accounts between social media, work, email, all the different accounts and so forth that I have. I've got that many different passwords. And I change those passwords with the batteries in my smoke detectors when we have the time change, every 6 months. I'm told I'm not doing it enough by the guys that are supposed to be the super experts in this. I'm only kind of a so-so expert. But anyway, but it's a different password. And before anybody asks, I'll tell you, I get asked this question all the time. Well, how do you remember all those passwords? I just got a good memory. No, I'm just kidding. Where do you keep your passwords? Write them down on a piece of paper and stick them someplace away from your computer in your house. Cyber criminals go into your house through the electronics, not through your front door. So it doesn't have to be complicated to be secure, okay? It doesn't have to be complex. So write them down, but make sure that they're all different. I'm going to show you why here in just a few minutes. Talked about loose media. I'm going to get to the Wi-Fi, but keep in mind, loose media, don't plug it in if you don't know where it came from. Phishing is still probably the best way a hacker can get into your computer. Okay, phishing is email. That's all it is. It's an email. It looks like it's something that it's not. They're hoping that you'll click on a link. You click on that link, it takes you right into the hacker's computer, regardless of whatever front-end security you have. I've got some examples here I'm going to show you. All of the examples that I have came off of a county or contract city computer. Okay, so all of this came off of computers that we've had to investigate. Phishing, spear phishing, harpooning, they're all the same thing. The only difference is that spear phishing is targeted to, like, say, an organization or a business, and harpooning and whaling is going after, like, CEOs and government officials and that kind of stuff. That's what the term means, but it's all the same thing. It's an email that looks real that's not. All of the links in this email came back to an IP address only. It didn't come back to B of A's website. All right? This was probably a screen that was modified. The clue here is that this is the sign-in screen, and up here in the upper right-hand corner, which is really hard to see, it says sign in up there. But they're usually not perfect, there's usually problems. But it looks like it's authentic. And it's not just B of A, it's all the banks. It doesn't matter, small banks, big banks, they send them out all over the place. This one looks like it came from American Express. But this one's really interesting down here at the bottom. Most recent charge approved, $2,520 on August 2nd. This was received by several Sheriff's Department employees on August 3rd. Now I want you to think about the emotional thing that goes on here. You get distracted, okay? I know I didn't go shopping yesterday and spend $2,500. Somebody's gotten into my card right there. View recent activity. Click. Now I'm calling out right into the hacker's computer. Okay? It's distraction, diversion, emotion to get you distracted in hopes that you'll click on that link. This one I found particularly disturbing. Eubank Funeral Home and Cremation Services. For this unprecedented event, we offer our deepest prayers of condolence and invite you to be present at the celebration of your friend's life service on Wednesday, yada, yada, yada. Please find invitation and more detailed information about the farewell ceremony. Click here, right into the hacker computer. Now, would this get you emotional if you got that? So, here's the rule. If it comes to you, don't click through. All right, we came up with something, that's it. And that's true also of walk-ups, mail, telephone calls. If they contact you, you don't give up any information. I get these phone calls all the time. Mr. Stevens, who's this? I don't acknowledge who I am, nothing. I don't even want them to be able to verify that the phone number's mine. Who is this? Sometimes they trip up. If they trip up, I hang up on them. Okay? Now, how many people in here know somebody whose credit card's been compromised? Take a look around the room. Get about almost half the room. Now, everybody put your hands up, because I'll tell you right now, my credit card's been compromised. Now you all know somebody whose credit card's been compromised. What you need to keep in mind is that these crooks, they work in mass, okay? And you got to be aware of that. These phishing emails are how they're getting in and they're getting the information. AOL got hacked about a month ago. You may have heard about that. The hackers were sending lots of emails out to the friends of individuals with AOL accounts on that person's behalf. They were all phishing emails, very much like this one. Now on this one, if you click on the link, this is what you get. You get a request for your email address, username, and password. Oh, by the way, confirm the password because we want to make sure we get it right when we hack into your accounts. That's what you got. So, if I'm the hacker, this comes to me. What do? I log into your email. I change your password. I change your challenge questions. I change your alternate email address, and now I own your email. You're going to have a heck of a time getting in, and while you're all emotional about that, I'm going through your email, finding out where you bank, what your Facebook name is, and all the other ones that are on there. Oh, and parents, by the way, your kids don't use Facebook. They use Instagram, Snapchat, and Vine. I just want to make sure I threw that out there. Some of the kids are going, why did you say that? I do that at PTA meetings. It's amazing to watch the faces on the kid. But here's the deal. If you have the same password for all your accounts, guess what? I've just emptied all your accounts. And that's why you need a different password for each account. That way if one gets breached, you're not going to have to worry about it. Last thing I want to talk about is mobile phone security. This is a hot topic. Your phone is a computer. I've already said that. You need to have antivirus protection on it, all right? Online surfing rules still apply. Smartphone apps have holes in them just like computer systems. If you've got 200 apps on your phone, you've got the potential for 200 holes in your system. So only download the apps that you need. Make sure that you read the user agreement before you do it. Wi-Fi security, tools and rules. When you are not connected to your network, turn off the Wi-Fi, okay? Because your device is constantly screaming. I'm going to show you a video here real quick. This was done by CNN Money, all right? And the drone thing, that's the sizzle. The technology is the story. And so when you watch this, keep that in mind, because this is why you want to make sure you turn off your Wi-Fi.
So you can see 3 devices.
Everybody hear it?
Phones down below, and we're collecting data about at least those 3 people.
That's a hacker. He's using technology installed on a drone to grab cell phone information from people below. This technology has been used on cell phones and laptops. One day, it could be installed in a larger aircraft. Think helicopters or small planes.
Down the road, and I see lots of devices. It must be the people walking down the road.
He can also see your usernames, passwords, credit card information, and get this, in some cases, your home address.
So somebody who's walking around the park, that's most likely their house, one of these houses here.
The tech on the drone is called Snoopy. We took Snoopy out for a spin on the streets of London.
It'll fly within a relative close distance of a person with a phone tucked safely in their pocket. And if they've left their Wi-Fi on, which most people do in my experience, their phone will very noisily be shouting out the name of every network it's ever connected to. So it'll be shouting out, "Starbucks, are you there?"
You can protect yourself by turning off your Wi-Fi. But if you don't, Snoopy can trick your phone and send back a signal pretending to be the network the phone is looking for. Then the drone can intercept everything the phone sends and receives.
So your phone's looking for Starbucks, and I pretend to be Starbucks. Your phone connects to me, and then I can see all of your traffic.
We tested it out on some dummy accounts we created.
And we can see here, it's logging into yahoo.com, so Yahoo Mail, and I created an account, Angela Smith, and there's her username, and her password is ABC123. So here's Amazon, also for PayPal. So PayPal, email address, username.
And Wilkinson hacked his own Facebook account to demonstrate what that would look like.
So let's pick on my Facebook account. So I can just say fetch Facebook profile, and from there I can do something like fetch all Facebook friends.
Wilkinson is an ethical hacker. He built the Snoopy drone to highlight insecurities in smart devices. Some of the things Snoopy can do, like steal usernames and passwords, are illegal. Experts say other features, like tracking location data, would probably not break any US laws.
If the technology got into the hands of criminals or bad hackers, which may already have done, there's all kinds of things they can do. At the most basic level, they can track people through, through space and time.
In a world where drones fly and tech enables them to potentially spy, it's more important than ever to protect your data. Lori Siegel, CNN Money, New York.
It's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
So, again, tools and rules. Just turn off your Wi-Fi. That's all you got to do. If you turn off your Wi-Fi, you protect yourself from the problem in the first place. Social media, burglar's best friend, straight up, okay? Don't broadcast out. Anybody seen the commercial? Having a great time in Hawaii. The guy with the hood on his face, have a great trip, right? Would you give your house key to all your friends on Facebook while you're on vacation? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't be broadcasting that you're on vacation, unless you got somebody that's staying at the house or something along those lines, that sort of thing. So, anyway, that's my pitch. We have personnel available to these types of presentations and so forth. Church groups, real estate groups, I've done aerospace companies. We will work with the schools. We will work with government organizations, Lions, Rotary, any of those types of operations. We'll be glad to come in and do presentations for. We can even set up a live hack if we have enough time. Can't do it in 30 minutes. I can be reached at cyber@lasd.org. That's, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, LASD. Cyber, CYBER, at LASD.org. If you'd like to set something like that up, or if you want to get on our distribution for notifications, email notifications for problems, that kind of thing when they come up, you can also send an email there. Just put your name, Temple City, and I'll get you updated to the list. We don't send a lot of them out. We don't want to burden people with that, and it's another one of those. We only want to hit you with the real important stuff. That might come up and cause problems. So anyway, questions? I got probably about a minute. Yes?
You say shut off your Wi-Fi. You mean shut off the mobile?
No. On your mobile device, whether it's your iPad or a cell phone, you use your Wi-Fi to keep your minutes down or whatever, to keep your data plan down. Okay, don't let it run random. Because I can take a public, a portable hotspot like this and do what he did. Basically tap into your phone and down, I'll capture all your packets. So if your banking information's open, I've got your banking information. I'm out of time. One last question real fast.
I'm just wondering, but this does not apply to your laptop at home.
No. If your laptop, if your computer is connected to your Wi-Fi at home, you're eliminating the problem because it's linked, okay? What happens though is that mobile devices are constantly trying to find Wi-Fi connections that they've had in the past, but once it's identified, the hacker just changes the name of their Wi-Fi hotspot, waves off credentials so they doesn't have to have a password, and it just lets you in. And then he's got you, capturing your information. Anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Until we get some laws passed, you know, funding cybercrime operations by local law enforcement, the best thing we can do is prevent it. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, give it a couple of minutes. We're going to reload the PowerPoint. Again, at the end of our presentation, it's going to be an open forum if you have any questions. Okay. Again, that's very knowledgeable and very powerful information about cybercrimes. Like my partner said, it makes you want to throw your cell phone away and just hibernate in the case. But again, I want to reiterate the Community Academy. If at any time during this presentation, if you think of someone that has aspirations in a career of law enforcement, we will give you an application. 10 spots are left. Very good program. 5 weeks starting June 19th to July 17th. Again, 5 days every Thursday from 6 to 8. It might go over a little bit, it might go short, depending on the presentation on that specific date. Very, very good information. Asian gangs, tour of the jail, tour of the station. K9's going to be there. Again, you go down there, get a lot of information. It's basically a condensed academy. Okay, there's three instructors. First day is very vital because Sergeant Strong's going to be there. She actually was in the academy, taught our recruits, so she has an abundant of information on whoever you think you can have aspirations in law enforcement. Yep. 6 p.m. to 8 at night. 6 in the morning. Yeah.
What's the minimum age?
Minimum age is 18 again because they do background checks, and you are going to do a tour of the jail and the station. So they want adults, 18 and over. 18 and over.
Okay.
Okay, hello everybody. Can you guys hear me back there or not? Okay, I got to try to figure out where I need to be. I'm Sergeant Miranda from the Temple City Special Assignment Team. These are my guys here, Deputy Adams. Everybody knows Adams. Deputy Cardella, Deputy Alvarez. Okay, real quick, because we're going to do our PowerPoint. We don't want to run out of time. Some of the things our team does is we do parole probation operations here in the city. That means people on parole or probation. We will do compliance checks to make sure they are within the guidelines that they should be. We just did one today. So whenever you see like 5 or 6 police cars, sometimes less. And probation, that's what we're doing. It's not always a search warrant or things like that. We do quality of life things, anything from neighbor problems that are ongoing. We'll generally address those types of situations. Anything quality of life. We get panhandlers that hang out. If we start seeing transients, they start maybe panhandling or just bothering our patrons, we will definitely address those issues. Let's see, one of our biggest things is workable cases. When I say that, for instance, if you're the victim of a crime, let's hope that doesn't happen, and there is a vehicle maybe with a license plate or a partial plate or some sort of a suspect description, we will work with the detectives and generally conduct the investigations on those things. Homes where they're selling drugs or things of that nature, we will conduct operations to address those as well. It's a great team that the city funds, and I'll tell you, and I'm not just saying that because I'm the sergeant on it. I get paid the same amount of money either way, whether I'm a patrol sergeant or this. But I wish every city wishes they had something like this. It, like I said, it addresses everything from the serious crimes to the everyday quality of life issues that are a concern to you. With that being said, we have a PowerPoint here for you. It's outstanding. And we're going to go ahead and turn it over to these two gentlemen right here, Deputy Cardella and Alvarez. I may chime in every now and then, only because I read every report that comes through this city, so I know most of these crimes like the back of my hand. So, here we go.
Okay, again, my name is Deputy Alvarez. I'm the youngest one out of our group, so...
not by much. Not by much.
But anyways, these are the topics that we're going to hit today. Discussion topics: burglaries, theft, personal safety, and protocol. Okay, the first thing I always like to start off this program with is communication and partnership. Okay, you guys are the eyes and ears of the community. Okay, we just respond. We're a reactionary department. Without your help, we cannot solve crime. It's period. Simple as that. Okay, you guys know who belongs there, whose vehicles, who lives in the houses, who has friends, relatives. Again, if you see something on the streets that's like unusual or suspicious, all it is a phone call away. We are providing a service to you in the community. We go out there, we contact the individuals. If it's nothing other than a contact, that's all it is. Okay, a lot of times the people are like, hey, we don't want to call because we want to bother you. Bother you is not in the vocabulary with us because, again, we provide a service to you. By us contacting an individual could deter somebody from robbery, burglary, theft by simply being out there and seeing. Okay? Burglary, I'll talk about burglaries. The trends and preventions in interview. Trends on burglaries. We have distractionary burglaries. Distraction burglaries are usually on elderly people at the residence. Remember, suspects or people that are going to commit crimes have all the time in the world to see victims. They'll sit out the house. They'll know your trends on when you arrive, when you leave, how many people at the house, what type of vehicles you have, if you lock your house, if you have dogs, you have alarms. Again, they have all the time in the world to look at you, to make sure that they go in this house and they burglarize you. Take your property, take your money, your cars, all that stuff. So by a simple fact is if you have an alarm in your house, activate it. If you have a dog, that's fine. Take them outside. If you have lights in your front door or your patio, put them on. If you do not have communication with your neighbors, contact your neighbors. Again, it's a community, they're your neighbors. You should have a relationship with them to tell them that I'm leaving, keep me on the house. It's real simple. If you go on vacation, contact the sheriff's department. Tell them you're going on vacation. Can you do a drive-by? You know, watch our house, do a patrol check. That's what we provide. We provide a service to you. Again, you are the eyes and ears of the partnership of the community. Second thing is construction burglaries. If someone is, if you're doing refurbish for construction in your house, a lot of times they leave a lot of equipment, expensive equipment out there. Again, if the person that owns the property is not there, it's your responsibility, not your responsibility, but as a citizen in the community, if you see a vehicle that rolls up, has a truck, and they start loading stuff, the equipment onto the bed of the truck, and you know they don't belong there, call us. Simple. Call us because, again, you know the community more than we do.
There's another trend, too, that we're seeing where people are at home, somebody knocks on their door or rings the doorbell, and then what do you do when you don't want to talk to somebody? You ignore it, right? Well, the problem we're having, and we used to teach to the kids in school, don't go to the front door and answer the door, right? Whether mom or dad are at home, you don't answer the door. Well, the problem we're having now is, by not acknowledging the person that's at the door, they think nobody's home. So now they're going around to the back of the house, and they're kicking in the door, whether there's people there or not. And I can tell you at least 4 or 5 times over the last 4 or 5 months that I know of in our own city, we've had that happen. Fortunately, the crooks don't want to have anything to do with you. If they find you home, 99% of the time, they're going to leave. They're going to take off. But in the meantime, you're scared, your kids are scared, your door's busted in, your window's broken, right? So, what we're telling you now is, if somebody comes to the door and you hear the doorbell ring, or you hear a knock, at least go to the door, say you can't talk right now, come back later, whatever you need to do. You don't have to answer the door, but acknowledge so that they're not going to go around to the back of your house and kick in your door. Okay?
And real quick, if you see people walking around door to door during the day that look suspicious, not many people are home during the day. Call the station, it looks a little suspicious, we'll come out and check it out. Okay?
Okay, distractionary burglaries. Okay, this is a simple method of getting into your house. What they'll do is, again, they have all the time in the world, they'll see who lives at the house, an elderly person or an elderly couple. They'll knock on the door, and they'll say, hey, I'm here for the water company, or hey, I'm lost, can I use your phone? They'll do anything they can to get into your house. Like, for example, if they say here for the water company, ask for ID. But as soon as they're in the house, what they'll do is say, let me go to your kitchen. There's something wrong with the pipe, there's something out in the street that your kitchen or your room could get flooded. As soon as they get into your house, they distract you in terms of getting you at a location in the house without you knowing. They got a buddy outside by the car. He goes in your house, goes up to your room, he ransacks your residence, takes all your jewelry, your money, your credit cards, any valuables, and he leaves without that individual knowing. Okay? Again, if you're not expecting a AT&T guy, a plumber, and someone knocking on your door, like my partner says, you don't have to open the door, just acknowledge they're there, call us. If it's suspicious to you, it's suspicious to us, so we'll go down there and contact this individual. But what they'll do is, they'll knock on the door, like my partner said, they'll ask you to go around the back and they'll kick in the door. Or they'll do a distractionary. Hey, we're here from the water company, or electric company. I gotta check your electricity. They go in there and they're inside your house. Once they're in their house, they're very good, they're professionals, they do this for a living.
There's another trend that we're seeing with vehicles. Basically, it's pretty simple. A lot of unlocked cars. And I actually was working patrol last weekend, and 2 cars in the same driveway, the front house and the back house, both people left their cars unlocked. So that's the biggest problem we're having right now, is just unlocked vehicles and people leaving a ton of stuff in their cars. And so what we're trying to tell everybody is, if you're going to leave your car unlocked, don't leave anything in it. We suggest you lock your car, even if you have things that aren't worth anything. What will happen is, the bad guy that's cruising through your neighborhood at night, which is about 1:30 in the morning, we figure this is when it happened, they're going to look in your car, they're going to see a bag. They're not going to know there's nothing in there. All right? We have window smashes every once in a while, but the other problem we're having, we're not seeing too many of those. We're seeing a lot of unlocked cars. We do get from time to time people that say, you know, I thought I locked it, but I wasn't sure. And there are devices out there that people are using now that will actually enable them to go into your car just with a remote control and unlock your car doors. So that's another reason why it's important not to leave anything in the car at all. And if you do, put it in the trunk where nobody can see it. Don't leave anything in plain sight. All right, and you're going to see, my partner's going to show you a couple of videos on how easy it is to smash windows at some point.
Okay, real quick, prime example where I'm talking about communication. Deputy Adams contacts this resident that there was a vehicle burn. Prior to the vehicle burn, this individual was walking the dog down the street, sees two individuals with black hoodies walking around the neighborhood late at night. Okay, she said it was unusual, she thought it was weird, she didn't call. She just said, I didn't bother calling law enforcement because she didn't think it was a big deal. 2 cars got burglarized, property was stolen. Quick, you guys are the eyes and ears. You guys know your community. If something is unusual, people walking, people on bikes, people, a lot of foot traffic, a lot of cars just parked, call us a call for service. That's all it is. She would have called, there were the deputies out there. It might have been distracting the individuals for burglarizing, or they saw us to deterrent. But other than that, if we contact them, write down their names. Believe it or not, when individuals that want to burglarize or rob places or residents or cars, when they see law enforcement, they get spooked and they're out. They're gone.
And these 2 individuals, we think, hit a few other homes. So there was one on Freitas, and these 2 were on Encinitas. And she didn't call. So we want you to call. Even if you're not sure, just call. We'll send somebody out.
Okay, real quick, my name is Deputy Cardell. We're going to show you guys a couple videos that we have that kind of shows some of the stuff that they use to break into your cars. Very quiet. They have a couple devices. Some of these devices were actually not intended to be used for burglaries. You know, more things for tow truck companies to help get people out of their cars. If someone's trapped in a car, there's one device that helps that out. So I'm going to go right here real quick, show you this video. And this gentleman will show you how easy it is to get in. It's pretty quiet.
Get ceramic.
That's from a spark plug.
Throw it glass. It's that simple.
And it really is. That one actually was really loud. Sometimes they don't even make any noise, and your whole window will shatter, and they just tap it out, and they grab what they want, and they leave. The next video will show you a different device. Right here. This one was a punch that was used. And that's it. Now they have to just tap the rest of the window and get in. At night, just happens like, what, 1 second you hear that, kind of listen, I don't hear anything else. You may just discount it and not think anything of it. By then, they're already gone. We talked about a little bit, my partners here, on what not to do with your vehicles. Vehicles are really big right now with thefts. Ladies, please be very careful with your purses. I know now if we put them behind the back seat, we don't think anybody knows they're there. They do. If you go to the malls and things in that, you have Ladies' Day, and they all come in with you, and you have 4 of you get out of the car. Like my partners have stated earlier, these guys have nothing better to do but sit there in their cars and wait to see who's getting out of cars. Once they see 4 ladies get out, they'll watch. Next thing you know, everybody puts their stuff behind the back seats, and they leave and they go inside. They open up the trunk, they put all the purses in the trunk, and then they leave. Some vehicles, you can actually just smack the back tail lights, reach on in, and pull the release, and boom, you're in your car. So these guys have all day to really think about what they're doing, and we're not. We're just thinking of, hey, we're gonna go shopping and have a good time, and I'm just gonna put my stuff here. So be very careful. If you don't need to take everything in your purse, and all you need is your credit cards or something, you can buy those little containers that hold all your credit cards and stuff like that, and that may be the only thing you need that can fit in your pocket. I know my wife takes this big purse, and it's probably got everything in there with the kitchen sink. And you know, I get stuck carrying it right to the mall because she's holding everything else. So if you need it, if you want to keep all your property, don't leave it for someone to take it from you. Here we go again. This guy here, he's going to talk to you about it. He's going to let you, you're going to hear this. This is an actual individual who got busted for burglary. I don't think it might be. And he's going to explain what... He's going to explain how and what he does and the things that he looks for when he's going to go into a home. Hopefully you can hear it. I know it's a little bit low, but please just try your best.
Cover is very important. I don't want someone to see me breaking into this house, so the house must have cover, trees, big tall wooden fences, you know, like people have around the house, around swimming pools, or cover. When I say cover, anything that I can get up close to this house and hide me, where somebody can't just maybe look out their window, the next door neighbor look out and say, well, somebody else. After I look for the plants in people's yards, how they take care of yards, toys is very important, because it depends on what kind of thief I am. If I'm looking for guns, or if I'm looking for jewelry, if I'm looking for this or that, and me myself, I was a jewel thief, and women have the jewel. And if I see a bunch of toys in the yard, then I know it's a woman live there. Then I look at if the house has an alarm. After I make sure the house got cover, I make sure the house got an alarm or doesn't have an alarm, you know. But all that's nothing if I don't look at the next door neighbor's house too, on both sides. If there's houses on both sides of this house that I'm checking out to break into, I gotta make sure the neighbor's houses is secure too. And not only that don't mean that the neighbors doesn't have to be home, because I don't care if the neighbors is at home. I look for the neighbors because neighbors are nosy, you know. If I ride through your neighborhood and you see me and 2 more black guys, you're gonna automatically call police because we look suspicious. But if I'm by myself and I'm walking through a neighborhood and I got a rake thrown over my shoulder and plastic bags hanging out in my back pocket and a pair of gloves hanging out my back pocket, well, you think I'm somebody's yard man. Well, it isn't the case. That's just a disguise, you know. That's just something I do to make me look, to fit in more. Yes, you always knock on everybody's door. I don't just, I mean, me, I can look at a house and tell you if somebody's home or not, but I'm still going to knock on your door to make sure you're not home. Because I have been in houses with people in their sleep. And when I I go in the house and people in there sleep, they never wake up. I turn around and I leave, I walk back out, and I don't take anything. I'm not going to the door to avoid any confrontations, because if I go in your house, I don't want you to be home. I think I've broken maybe 2 or 3 houses in the night. I've never broken in the houses at night just because of the fact people come home at night. In the daytime, when you break in houses at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you know people's at work. And I never break into a house close around lunchtime because people come home for lunch sometimes. And usually when they start getting close to lunch, I don't break in the houses. But anywhere from 8 on up to 11 o'clock, that's the time.
Okay. So, like this guy said, I know he's not the smartest person in the world, but he's smart enough to know what to do. He's looking to see, if you heard him, he doesn't come around lunch because you come home for lunch. He knows people go to work. He doesn't like to come at night because everybody's home. So he's smart enough to sit here and know the layout of your neighbor's houses. Are they going to be able to see him if he comes up and tries to get into your home? And if so, if it's very clear and there's no hedges around their windows, that's probably something he's looking at, because now if you're looking out your window, you may see him. So they're smart enough to try to figure out what your routines are, and we may never even know they're on your street because they're just sitting in the car and parked. So if you guys see people parked in front of someone's house, a neighbor or whatnot, and that car's not anyone you know in your street, because you know if you don't, you should know pretty much all your neighbors if you've been there long enough. You know what cars they drive, when they're home and when they're not. If something like that occurs, you can call us. We'll go down there. You're giving us probable cause to come and talk to these people. So if he is going to try and case your house or the neighborhood, now we can go and talk to him. Now, if we get his plate, we run him, we run who he is, and then we leave because there's nothing going on and we don't have any reason that he needs to go to jail or further detain this individual, and we go on our way, and then a couple hours later, someone says, hey, my house was broken into, and the neighbor says, yeah, I saw this car. That helps us out because now we have a pretty good idea. It might have been that guy we just talked to, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, real quick, when a person does get in your house and steals your property, again, the chances are, or the percentages are, you're not going to get your property back. Disclaimer that you're going to, we're law enforcement, you watch TV, they're going to have, CSI, fingerprint, all that stuff. That's far-fetched. The fact that if they take your property, it's pretty much gone. But the trick that you can do, or not a trick, something you can do to help yourself is, if you have something of high value, a TV, a laptop, a computer, your cell phones, something in terms of high value that has a serialized number, get in the habit of writing that serialized number down, keeping the receipt with the serialized number, or when you buy the purchase of the product on the box, you can tear it out. Because the fact is when a deputy comes to your house and gets a report call and says, hey, all my laptops or high value stuff is gone, the first question they ask, do you have a serialized number for this property? If you do, you're not going to get your property back right away. But the fact that we put it in an automated system, now it's in the system, so if someone, Arcadia or somewhere in the county or even somewhere high in California, San Francisco, they run that serialized number and it comes up in a car stop or traffic stop, or they come across this property, it's yours. They're going to contact you and you're going to get your property back. But again, without that number, it's just going to be a simple black laptop stolen from the resident and empty or nothing further. That's all it is.
Okay. We went through unlocked vehicles as being our biggest theft. Mail is becoming another one too. It's one of the easiest things because identity theft is huge. It's the fastest growing crime because it's so easy. All you need is a little bit of your personal information and they'll start filling out credit cards and things of that nature. Mail, I know a lot of people still, use the mailman, leave it just sitting in the mailbox. A lot of times what will happen if you leave your checks and things and these people come by, they'll grab your bill you're going to pay with, and they call it washing. They wash it off a little bit and it erases the ink, and then they write it out to themselves and they go cash it. You won't know until you finally get a delinquent notice saying, hey, you didn't pay your bills. So just be careful. If you get UPS, any kind of parcels that you're going to have delivered to your home, please be there. I've walked out, helped passing out the flyers for this meeting today, and I came across about 4 or 5 homes that had a sign right on the thing. Please put package behind bush. Okay, if it's really that important to you and you spend a lot of money on it, try to be home, because if these guys are seeing that, then first thing I'm going to do as a criminal is I'm going to look behind your bush. Maybe it's Christmas and I find a present. They may not even know what you are getting, but they don't care. They're going to follow it. Some of them actually did have an instance last year. We had some detectives on the street for a whole unrelated issue. A UPS truck came up, dropped off a bunch of items. As they drove away, another car pulled up. Lady ran out, grabbed all the items, jumped in the car and left. It was actually a ring of people that were doing this. There was about 3 people in the car, and all they're doing is following the UPS truck around, taking everything off the front porches of everybody's home that just left it out there. So these guys, like I said, they're ingenious. They may not be the smartest people in the world, but they're smart enough in what they're doing at this time. So be pretty, cautious of what you do. Even tell a neighbor, hey, I'm getting something dropped off, a package. Can you check for me? Something is better than nothing. Bikes. Oh, right here, the bikes. These things here, thefts. We're talking about your middle-aged guy riding a bicycle. Like I'm talking a kid's bike. It happens all the time. We stop gentlemen like that all day long. They're up and down your street, driving around, kind of doing circles. About 30, 40 years old, middle of the day. Why should that person not be at work? Probably because they're not, and they're out there just kind of seeing what's going on. Call us. We will stop and talk to them. Maybe they are just riding a bike, and we'll tell them sorry for bothering you, and you're on your way. A lot of the times, that's not the case. They're pretty much, most of the guys we catch on bikes and talk to are pretty much narcotics users. They're going to have narcotics or some kind of paraphernalia. I'd say the percentage is very high on that when we talk to them. And you guys, if you're home, you can see them coming up and down your street, or they're just riding around in general. Please call us. We'd love to talk to these guys, see why they're here. The packages we went through with the UPS, and real quick, this one is, okay, we'll do this one real quick, and I think this is the last video. These are just things that they're doing, that they're finding other ways to get it.
Running for an easy score and wait until you see
get into your stuff.
Name is tonight's Martin Augustine with this story live. Martin?
Well, none of you ever come outside your car to find a flyer tucked under your windshield, something advertising a new restaurant, a concert, or a car wash? Well, it looks like some thieves down at Overland Park are using flyers as a part of their scam.
Okay, and what he's going to further say is, the part of the scam is what they're doing is they're going to walk around, and if you've been to, the malls or just anywhere, in parking lots, say Kmart parking lot, and guys are walking around passing flyers, and we discount it, right? Because hopefully they don't put it on my windshield, right? It's kind of what's going through our mind. You come back out and there's a bunch of junk. Well, what they're doing is they're coming up to your window and they're putting it in, and that's allowing them to see what's in your car. So they're using what people would do normally to help do some advertisement to help them further their criminal activity. So you may come back and your window's broken because you left something in there. So these guys are trying to be smart and creative on how they define stuff that they want, which you guys leave in cars. And I say that because my wife did the same thing. She left her purse in the car. They stole the car and her purse, and it spent months trying to get my credit cards, all taken care of. In 2 days, $7,000 on my cards that I didn't spend, and her purse and my car was gone for a week and a half until they found it. It's a lot of headache.
What the video doesn't show either is within about 2 minutes, the people that were handing out the flyers were in one of the stores shopping with their credit cards. So just be careful about leaving these in your car.
Okay, we went over a lot of these safety precautions.
Yeah, Kurt, can I touch on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
In the interest of saving time, everything about personal safety is in your handouts that we gave you, okay? So we're just going to skip through that. All the bullets, everything you need to know about personal safety are in your handouts.
Okay, for calling the station, when to call 911 versus our business line, which is just our regular number, 285-7171. As opposed to, we have 3 different types of calls. This button's killing me. Emergent, priority, and routine. Okay, there's information the desk needs for the responding deputies that I'll go over with you. And right quick, emergent. This one here is where we're going to come code 3, lights and sirens to your house if need be or anywhere else. If someone, like we've talked about, you don't know, backs into your neighbor's driveway, you see people get out, they go around the back, that's pretty good to maybe be someone's trying to burglarize the house. That would be good for an emergent call to call us up on 911, hey, I think the house next door is getting robbed. If someone's choking, things of that nature, that emergent calls are in that category. Priority You can call us on priorities too. There's a crash that happens in the middle of Temple City and Las Tunas. It just happened the other day. And they called up and say, hey, there's a crash right here. We'll send people out there. Priority call. Routine is a call. Maybe you come home, someone's broken a window, someone's vandalized something, and there's not a threat at that portion right now. It's kind of just a report call. That would be our routine. I say that sparingly because nothing's ever routine for us. I know TV says it every day, it's a routine traffic stop. No traffic stop is ever the same. Information the desk is going to need. When I was the watch deputy who ran the desk and all the units at the station, the key things that we're going to need quickly if something is actively going on now. Where is it? What's the address? What's the street? And then quickly we're going to ask you, how many people are there? Is it a male, white, male, Hispanic, male, black, male, Asian? What are they wearing? Is there a vehicle involved? If you're able to, can you see the license plate? We're not asking you to run out there, put yourself in any harm's way at all, and to go out there and get me that license plate. If you cannot see it, that's okay. Calling us and letting us know, we're going to tell you to stay on the line while the deputies are responding, so we can get further information from you, so we can pass that out to the deputies who are coming over to you. It is crucial. You may sometimes think that they're being a little harsh with you because you're trying to say something and they cut you off and say, no, just tell me what he's wearing right now. It's not that they're trying to be rude to you. They just want to get that vital information so that when the deputies respond, they can get there as fast as they can. And if these people are leaving, then they know what they're looking for as they're coming into that street or what location it is. If by chance you feel you're unsatisfied with what the call or person you spoke with, being the watch deputy, I would love for you guys to ask for me, and I would try to see if I can help you out. If I can't, then I will refer you to my sergeant. And if by chance you are not satisfied at that portion, then we would go up to our lieutenant, and then you guys can speak with him. So hopefully this portion, being unsatisfied, doesn't happen, because we try our hardest to make sure that you guys are. I grew up here in Temple City. I like the city. I liked it a lot. And it's been good to me, so I like to make sure that I can provide the same fun I had as a kid and the ability not to worry about my items, my car, anything being stolen. So for me, I have a vested interest in doing the best I can. So this portion here is not what I ever strive for. And I know that personally with our team, I know the guys that work in our city. So it's not that if one day you feel you're being treated a little bit rough, please give us a call. We'd like to figure out what we can do to make that better, okay? And this is the new sign. I think this will be it. And then what we're going to do right now, if anybody has any questions, we'd like to try to see if we can field a few questions if anybody has any. Yes?
If I call 911, is there a difference whether I call on a landline or my cell phone?
No, there used to be a difference. No, they fixed that. There used to be that issue where you would call and there was huge delays because CHP, Highway Patrol would get it, and then they'd have to figure out what area it is and what station or what department's close. They fixed that now with all the new cell towers that are all around our cities, and it usually pings and sends you to the closest department. So we will get your 911 calls on the phone. When in doubt, go ahead and call 911. I wouldn't get mad at you, and I don't, because when I'm answering the phone, if you're asking me something and telling me what's going on, I would prefer you to, err on the side of caution to call 911, and then after you've told me your piece, I may say to you, I appreciate you calling, thank you for that, but if next time this comes up, please call the business line. So don't be scared to call 911 because you just don't know. Call it. Yes, Mary?
I was told, that if you call 911 on your cell phone, they don't know where you're at. Landline is not saying elderly person.
No, the cell phone now, you can get an approximate. You're probably within a good, I think it's 20 to 40 yards from where you're at. So they'll get you on if you're on, say, Las Tunas in between Temple City and Cloverleaf, and you're right in the middle, it's going to ping somewhere close to that. So we have to figure out where that's at. We actually have it come up on a new monitor that we have that'll actually show when we look at the screen.
In a case like that, if you dial 911 on the landline, it automatically says where you're at. If it's a cell phone.
Yeah, the landlines are always going to be the best because it will go to a hard address to where you're at.
Either way, we're going to verify the address. We don't want to mix up at the death. Sometimes people call 911, the address pops up, but we might get an old address from another 911 call. So we're always going to verify whether you're on a cell phone or not. So just know you just have to verify the address so we can get out there for you.
Yes, Jerry.
If you go to Sam's Club and you buy a new 60-inch flat screen, don't put the box out by the curb.
Yes, that actually happened. There was an incident where someone had a 60-inch TV or 50, I can't remember, but it was big. They had it delivered and left the box, and someone came in and stole the TV. So I know we're throwing trash out. Maybe condense the box, cut it up, or smash it up and put it in the can. Any other questions?
There's some street that I see in Temple City, they have this like neighborhood crime watch sign, but I don't see around here, so I don't know who's responsible for putting those kind of signs.
The city, and they're still actively putting these signs up.
We're working on it.
They're going in their little pattern of how they're going.
We're not putting them on individual streets. In the old program, if you had a block neighborhood watch program, you had it on both ends of your street. But because we have a citywide program and we have identified neighborhood watch areas, we're putting them on certain streets that have been identified by staff leading into that neighborhood. The idea with implementing the signs is we were going to try and get them installed as each neighborhood watch was progressing. But the other thing that you have seen going up are those street sweeping signs. And so our staff right now is dedicating the time to installing those street sweeping signs so that we can have those done by the end of June. Once that's complete, we're going to go back into the areas where we've had neighborhood watch meetings and put the new signs up. All the old signs will be coming down.
So which means like our zone, we have meeting already, so we might get a little priority on that, right?
Well, there's other ones that have had meetings before this one. There's, I think, maybe 4 areas that still need the signs, including Area 6.
Because I was thinking this area, because this is a park and a lot of, you know, the non-Temple City residents and a lot of like strangers just like parking in the park. And
Our goal is citywide, not giving any preference to one area or another.
So each area is like a high risk.
Yeah, each area is equally as important and has its own risks. And so as we go along, the easiest way that we have identified is to sequentially, as we have those meetings in those areas, install the signs. And so we do have areas 1 and 2 that we still need to install, and also 5 and 6.
But you know, the fact that it's a park area is not a bad idea. We will look at that. So if you've got an area you're concerned about, shoot me an email and shoot it to Brian, and we can let you know if we've already got it in the area or not. So just so you know.
I know there's a question in the back there.
I have one more. Back on the phone response. The computer-based phone system like MagicJack, is there any proper response on that type of phone system?
No, I haven't heard of MagicJack. I'm not really sure what that is.
I don't believe so. I haven't seen any kind of it. Working the desk and with all the different 911 calls coming in, I haven't seen any specific with any kind of carrier, any different than regular AT&T or whatever. I know MagicJack, my cousin has it, so I mean it works very well for him. But I don't think that's an issue.
Maybe even call these phone companies, whatever your phone is, and ask them. They should be able to direct you as well. You know, if it's going to show up where you're at and everything else. With all these GPS trackers and all that, they're very accurate. So your phone should be dialed right in for the most part. One real quick thing I want to say is, all in all, Temple City is truly a very safe city. So when we do this, we want you to know that. We're not trying to scare anybody. We want you to be aware. We want you to know what's going on around you. That's not just here. That's wherever you go. You go shopping, know what's going on around you always. Help yourself. And we mean that by, you leave your, town for a few days. Like the guys say, make sure somebody's watching your house. Have some sensors or lights that go on. When one house is completely dark, you guys know. I mean, we were all, when we were kids, what'd your parents say? Leave a light on, right? I mean, help us help you. Don't leave purses on your car seat. It happens weekly, all the time. $400 GPS sitting right there. Unlocked cars. In my driveway, it's safe. It's not safe. Not just here, any city, county-wide. Okay? Orange County, exact same situation. Okay? So nowhere is completely crime-free. But if you help yourself, you help us, I guarantee you, I mean, it'll remain one of the safest cities. Okay?
I think you would wait.
Yes, I am. Regarding the bulletin that you sent out on the guy who could walk by the cars and auto-open the car?
Yes, I sent that out.
I'll let Rick answer
Okay.
that.
Yeah, so what was the question?
Have you heard any more update, or should I just dismantle my auto-opener and just revert back to a key?
No, but what she's talking about, she's asking about a video where they're going to the garage doors or they go to the cars, because I think
They
I've done
walk
both.
down the street.
Walk down the street and go to the cars?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't worry about, like Ron mentioned, we don't want you paranoid. Just keep your car secure. I don't want you going back to, not using your alarms and things like that. That's what they're asking. No updates. You'll see a lot of the stuff that I give you. Maybe something that's going on in a different state. Could be in somewhere in California. It's just to kind of make you aware of what may be going on. That's not a trend we're seeing here in our area. But we don't want you being paranoid. Just be careful. And if you leave your car empty, you got nothing to worry about. So, just something to think about. But no, I wouldn't worry about that.
Because one thing I personally very concerned is about the city's street light plan, especially for residential areas. For example, my community do not have appropriate street light at all. During the night, it's totally dark. And I even have to use flashlight when I'm doing the night walk.
Brian can speak to that, sir.
Yeah.
Brian,
You want to address it after? Or?
I would recommend that, because I don't deal directly with the streetlights, if you want to call or send me an email, I'll pass it on to my supervisor, Robert Zahagan, who's in charge of the public
Yeah,
works.
because we already live there for more than 15 years, but no improvement at all, has ever been done for us.
It's a big task to install streetlights. It's just not just putting individual lights. You have to have the infrastructure within the street, whether it's overhead or underground lines, and it can get to be a multi-million-dollar project, and so there has to be funds available to install the streetlights. But if you want to discuss it in further detail, like I said, I would recommend talking to my supervisor, who's Robert Zahagan. He's your Public Safety and Services Manager.
but maybe for tonight, sir, you can email Brian, since we don't have Robert's email address, and he can forward it to Robert for you as well. Okay. And just so you know, folks, I know it's getting a little late. We went over, and these are great questions. We'll have a couple more. But if there's something you didn't get a chance to ask, or maybe you didn't want to ask,